What's up guys, welcome to AnimeKouhai. If you want to help me out, please hit the like button and subscribe to my channel.
All I did was follow his orders.
Nonsense. You're the very one who procured the orb and brought the plan to me.
I can't say I know what you're talking about. Again, you will need to find some proof.
Gabon was sticking to his story. And as sly as I'm sure he was, he must have been convinced that no evidence was left. Would it be hard to pin anything on him, then? It'd probably damage his reputation for a period of time, but at this rate, I could see him returning to the scene after a while. That's the nobility for you. You can't take your eyes off them for a moment, and they'll never go down too easily. A more direct approach, with weapons, would be quickest, but that was a last resort. As I thought about this, the door suddenly opened.
His Majesty the King Aegil is here.
The attendant's shout was audible across the chamber, and those responding to it immediately stood at attention. I was about to join them before Shuna and Benimaru stopped me. Yeah, me kneeling or whatever would have presented an awkward picture. Apart from Hinata and me, however, everyone was focused entirely on the new royal visitor. Even the chairman was bowing his head. That's the kind of respect the king of a nation like Anglacia deserved. King Aegil glanced at the counselors Soe had restrained. He didn't linger on them long before turning to me, his bushy blonde hair going well with his curly mustache.
I see my sons caused you some trouble.
You could say that, but I think we've cleared up our misunderstandings.
I had no intention of exaggerating things. If human society could accept us, better to let a little rudeness now and then slide.
Ah, very good. Then as his father, not as a king, I give you my apology and my appreciation.
He lightly bowed his head at me, the king himself. I was willing to accept that.
Consider it forgiven, but I don't want to see a repeat.
Yes, that I am certainly aware of. I hope to build a good relationship with you.
King Aegil looked straight at me, providing me with what I felt were his honest feelings. I figured I should trust him on that. If he reneged, I could consider my options at that time.
It'll be good to work with you, then.
And with you.
We shook hands. He was also kind enough to forgive the busted-up desk, so as far as I was concerned, our reconciliation was complete.
All rise.
Everyone raised their faces. They had all overheard our exchange, but I supposed this formality indicated that it wasn't meant to be on the record. A king wasn't supposed to bow to a foreign power that readily, and I supposed King Aegil saw it as a last resort.
Father?
Enough. You need some remedial education, I see.
Yes, father.
With a nod, King Aegil turned to Gabon.
Count Gabon?
Your Majesty.
You were talking about evidence. Were you expecting a quick escape because you thought I wouldn't intervene?
No, Your Majesty, not at all.
I have called for magical inquisitors. I will let them decide your treatment.
Now Gabon seemed concerned. He clung to the king.
Please forgive me. I will tell you everything, so please, Your Majesty, have mercy.
His desperation might have evoked sympathy among some people, but King Aegil's reaction was merciless.
Take him away.
One glance at his attendants, and his royal guard sprang into action.
Now, Sir Reiner, Sir Gaie. You'll come with us as well.
The guard began to haul them off.
Stop. Let me go.
Who do you think I am?
They tried to resist but were stopped in their tracks by a group of hooded men that appeared, those magical inquisitors, I supposed. Reiner and Gaia tried to resist as well, but the men had them subdued in short order, treating those admittedly powerful men like little children. I could tell these weren't your average prison guards, no. Anglacia really is a superpower, huh? And they got some pretty tough hombres working for them.
Report. It is likely a show of force, to prove to my master that they have powerful fighters at their disposal.
Ah, one of those don't mess with us things? This must have been their way of demonstrating that Reiner wasn't the best Anglacia could produce, an attempt to preserve their dignity. It's hard being a king. I guess he had to stay on his toes to keep a demon lord like me from taking advantage of him. As if Aegil wouldn't have used my power to make Anglacia the world's dominant force if Elric had actually succeeded. Well, if you wanted to keep a legion of sly, cunning nobility under your finger, I supposed you needed that type of malice in you.
Excuse me, then. And please allow us to handle this affair.
With that, the king's entourage left. They confiscated the Orb of Domination, too, by the looks of it, but I didn't mind. I had already disabled it while no one was looking. It wouldn't do to see it used for evil purposes. It also wouldn't do for me to carry on about it any longer, so I let it go without comment. Following an afternoon break, we continued with the legislative session. The councillors seemed a lot less energetic than they were in the morning hours, somehow. That was lucky for me, because I didn't need to cajole them into passing all the day's important business. The following 3 resolutions were enacted today. Tempest is recognized as a nation. Tempest will officially join the Council. The Council's military rights will be assigned to Tempest. These were accepted without protest and passed, barring any issues, by unanimous vote. It was a long road to get there, but everything I wrote up for the Council was accepted in the end. I'm really not good at this level of brinkmanship with a room full of hungry sharks. People can scoff at my ideas all they want, but having to feel out my opponent's mind and objectives just tires me out. I think I'll let Raphael handle that for me from now on.
Understood.
Today it was brute strength that let me take control of my problems. But I didn't lash out first, it was Hinata and that charming young Shuna. In fact, I was the guy who saved Elric's life. This amply demonstrated the broadness of my heart, I think, so I was pretty satisfied with myself. What's more, I had taught them all a valuable lesson. Attempting physical force against a demon lord was meaningless. The session behind us, we left the chamber. It was a stormy day, but now, it was finally over.
Volume 10, Chapter 4, Behind the Curtain, Part 1.
Glenda Atlee, the beautiful ex-mercenary, pulled the trigger with every intent to kill. The gun she had kept since she was summoned to this world didn't betray her. It was already a part of her body, to the point that it no longer even required maintenance. Combine that with her sniper unique skill, and there was nobody who could stop her. Sniper, as a skill, provided 3 abilities. One was magic sense, tuned to a perception level far beyond the norm. One was compute prediction, letting her read and understand the results of people's actions, and the other was called control space. This third ability, in particular, made Glenda practically superhuman, allowing her to connect any 2 points in space that she could picture in her mind. Anything she had physical sight of was within gunshot range for her. She could shoot from directly above the heads of her targets, and she was free to ignore any obstacles in her way as she landed a bullet home. She could also ignore all gravity and air resistance, making long-range shots possible without a sniper rifle. Put this all together, and Glenda had never failed a mission. But after her last blunder, she came to realize that there was always someone better out there. That was doomed. A monster like that's too much for me. The moment she saw him, Glenda realized how dangerous this opponent was. That man, Diablo, was impervious to her handgun. It wasn't a matter of physical attacks not working. Glenda had 2 types of bullets, a normal one and a magic-infused set. The first type was for when she couldn't leave any magical traces behind, but for monsters with physical resistance, Glenda concentrated her own magical force into bullet form, an original magic skill of hers. She treasured the ability to handle anything that came her way, and so Glenda truly had no blind spots. But Diablo didn't work that way. Her instincts warned her to run from him, her compute prediction skill foreseeing nothing but her death. Even with her standard breaking strengths, she could see no possible path to victory, a hard lesson in reality for her to take that day. And now Glenda had stretched her magic sense skills to their limits to carry out an assassination. The bullet she fired appeared just a foot or so away from her target. Now, in the blink of an eye, it'd demolish his head, or it should have. That 18-inch, or so, gap was very carefully selected. When connecting 2 points in space, the connection would fail if the destination point overlapped with a certain amount of mass. In other words, if the target unexpectedly moved, the connection Glenda built might cut out. That's why she settled on 18 inches. Even someone with godly reflexes couldn't respond quickly enough to something that close, especially a bullet traveling at the speed of sound. That monster is one thing, but the prince of a kingdom is no sweat. Well, no point crying about it. I'll have to come up with a strategy for the next time I see him. She was much more confident about today's mission, but at the next moment, her face filled with surprise and foreboding. The bullet that was supposed to shatter the prince's head had vanished.
No. What just happened?
The unthinkable had occurred, something impossible under any normal circumstances. She didn't know why it took place, but if someone had done something, it had to be that demon lord.
Him. That devil bastard's boss. Did I underestimate him, too?
That was Glenda's initial reaction. For a moment, she thought about firing again. Her perfect ambush had just failed, so any further attempt had even less of a chance. She knew that, but it meant that she'd fail her mission. Her bosses, Maribel and the elder Granville, would never allow that. It made her hesitate, and thus she failed to escape soon enough.
Hey, I would say so. You did underestimate Sir Rimuru, and I have no interest in forgiving you for that.
Who are you?
My name is Soe, faithful covert agent of the Demon Lord Rimuru.
Glenda was shocked, but quickly, she resigned herself. The man didn't ask her name in return, not because he didn't care about her, she thought, but because that could wait until he captured and interrogated her. If she could just get away, she could keep what she knew concealed. The assassination failed, and being captured afterward would be an even worse fate. Any further mistakes, and she'd be disposed of as useless. Glenda had seen many of her compatriots walk that road, and to her, getting away was job number one right now. She squared up against her foe.
So you were expecting an attack?
Yes. Everything was worked out in Sir Rimuru's mind. If you want to resist, go right ahead. I have no interest in killing you, but the more you resist, the more painful this will be for you.
Ha, how kind of you. In that case, I'll do what I want here. Thank you.
Without hesitation, Glenda fired instead of waiting for a response. This was a single, regular bullet. She had 16 left, but she doubted they'd work against the magic-born who called himself Soe. A magic bullet would, probably, but instead, Glenda took out her military knife, slashing at Soe with a refined, well-honed motion. Soe dodged it with the minimum movement required. Glenda smiled at this. The knife was infused with her magical force, making it both a physical and magical weapon. She did this when facing foes where physical attack wouldn't be enough, and Soe just revealed that he saw it as a threat. Plus, Glenda had noticed another habit of Soe's. This guy's the type who hates extraneous motion. He may be more susceptible to simpler methods. Let's see how comfortable he'll be in a moment. She unleashed another attack, knife in her right hand, gun in her left. Unhesitant, she repeatedly pulled the trigger, gauging Soe's response. As she predicted, there was no reaction. He must have known they'd have no effect on him, but he kept his guard up, staying on the alert for her knife. Not bad. Maybe the strongest opponent I've ever had. Diablo didn't count in Glenda's mind. Foes she never had a chance against weren't tabulated in her records. Soe's left pointer finger moved. Glenda didn't miss it, sensing the danger and instantly performing a backward somersault to dodge. There was now a sizable distance between them, and that was the right move for her to make, because in the next instant, an ultra-thin wire advanced upon her original position.
That's it for this video, guys. Thank you for always watching my videos and supporting my channel. Shoutout to Rahul Subramanian, Zodi Light, Izvestia Pieris, Mr. Jaha, Luminoseka, The Infernape King Battletube, James Yap, Ankit Ja, John Franco Miguel Fernandez, and last but not least, shoutout to Ariane Navarre. I'll see you guys in the next video.